Welcome to another Let's Play Kerbal Space Program with Nikki D'Angelo. I know I'm doing a lot of these lately. Like I said in the last episode, I'm having a boatload of fun of them. But for those people that thought it meant that I was going to be pulling away from my other, let's call them desires, but let's also call them responsibilities. Since I built a channel based around Star Citizen, believe me, that's not going to change anything. Just having a boatload of fun with these and decided to upload as many as I can before the poop hits the fan and I have to talk about FPS and the none other than social module. If you don't know what the Star Citizen is, just take a look at robertsspaceindustries.com and have a look at it, and also catch some of my other videos here on the channel. Well, let's get on to what the purpose of this one is. It's to get our brand new scientist, Shirtley, Shirt 3, Shirt Try, too many different weird names, and Valentina over to Minmus. Now, I built a bigger ship. When in doubt, build a bigger ship, and I really didn't need to. So we're probably going to have fun altering some things on this one little by little. But after a while, I will settle on a design, and let's skip ahead to what that design is and start the mission. Well, it looks like I settled on a design, and as you could see from Kerbal Engineer, we have a ton of Delta V in this thing. So hopefully we can put it to use, and bringing along Valentina and Shirtley. Gonna have to stop the video and read her name again to get it right. We are now taking our two-person crew, possibly 3 people, all the way out to Minmus. And I think I might take another tourist this run. We'll find out there in just a few minutes. All right, so here we go. Let's move the people into the proper lines. We have Bob Kerman over there. We don't really need Bob right now. We have Jebediah. Yeah, I don't want to. I want to bring Valentina. And it looks like Shirtree. Let's get Bob out of there. Bob's already a scientist. Get him out of there. And I'll put Shirtree up there. One more up. Nope, right there. Yeah, you got it. Now do it. Do it. Good. So I'm pretty much getting myself worked up over here for nothing. There is something else that we got to do. We've got to save a Kerbin. Hey, how about that? That's a pretty good thing to do, and we will have fun doing that for the first part of this mission. So let's jump right into the launch and start talking from there. Some people pass over the launches. Some people speed it up a lot. I speed it up a little because I think launches are important, aren't they? I mean, this is the piece of the part of the mission when you know, did my design work? Is it really going to get them into space? Now, this is overdoing it. I mean, 5 mainsail engines for a Minmus ship it's way too expensive. But this particular one of the things I look at is I spent a boatload of money, but I made a boatload of money. So we're going to explore Minmus. We're going to make a rescue attempt, I believe. There goes our first set of our tanks for this asparagus staged launch vehicle. Now, asparagus staging is something that you do in KSP. Again, I think I've said it before, because you can't build tall ships as well as you can build wide ships. God, I can't speak. The taller the ships that you build in Kerbal Space Program, the more space tape you need, the more money you spend, and the more wobbly they get. It's kind of, it just doesn't work. And when you look at how tall the Saturn launcher was to get to the moon, the Saturn V, the Saturn V, it was tremendous. It was the size of like the Empire State Building, I guess. Well, not that big, but it was tremendous. And it didn't wobble, I don't know that. It didn't wobble nearly half as much as something like this, or nearly 1/10 as much. So building wide is important, and asparagus staging is talked about so much. Look it up. But essentially the idea behind it is, if you have 4 tanks on it, you have 2 tanks that drain into 2 tanks, okay? And all of the tanks drain into the main rocket engines tank. And essentially you go, say you have tank 1, 2, 3, 4. Tank 1 and 4 are on opposite sides of the vessel. So tank 2 will drain into tank 1, and then tank 1 drains into the main engine. Tank 3 drains into tank 4, and then tank 4 drains into the main engine. The second piece is that you have to set the staging so when they run out of fuel, you will get rid of them. So you essentially get rid of tank 2 and 3, and then you get rid of tank 1 and 4. And I'm sure I'm saying these out of line. It's probably tank 3 and tank 1 and tank 2 and tank 4, but still, you want to have them drain in. So the 2 tanks left on opposite sides, so the vessel stays balanced, is what's left. And essentially, that leaves you with a ton of rocket power to get you into orbit. And it actually is quite a find. And I wonder why we don't have spaceships that do this often. I think SpaceX or one of the private agencies said that they were going to be using the asparagus launch design in one of their future launches, but they still haven't tested that or done that. And there probably was one that did it in the past. Usually the boosters that are on the sides of rockets in real life, like the Delta, like the Deltas that the U.S. Air Force and NASA use, and others, usually those are SRBs, or solid rocket boosters, and they're recoverable. And the reason why you don't have many liquid fuel boosters on the sides is because they're not recoverable. Most of the places that we land things are in the oceans in this in real life, and the minute anything touches the salt water, it's pretty much dead. So we got this really tall rocket. Now it's taller than wide. It wobbles a tiny bit, and you could barely see it wobbling. We have it in orbit, and we have just a smidge of fuel left. So essentially what I should have done there, because I'm starting to leave debris. You see all the debris? There's debris everywhere. I'm starting to leave debris all over space, and I have that pointed out here. And that may not be a problem now, but if you don't manage your debris, and you have things in orbits, and your debris is not in a stable orbit, you could actually eventually, and I know the laws of averages seem to be against it, but when you're going out to places like Duna or Joule or further, it takes years to get there. And that would be tens of thousands of orbits around the planet here. So it is theoretically possible, you see how they pass over each other, that one of those pieces of debris can come into impact one of your space stations over your planet or your moons. And although it's a slight risk, it is something that you want to manage. And it's something that actually, in real life, NASA and ESA and the Russian and Chinese space agencies all have to worry about when they launch satellites into orbit these days. Is debris, dead satellites, broken pieces of garbage, floating rocks, just crap that is collected around the Earth's, outside the Earth's atmosphere. And although a lot of it comes crashing down to Earth eventually, there's still thousands, tens of thousands of objects that are flying around at 20,000 plus miles an hour that can come smashing into anything and do a ton of damage. I believe if I looked it up, there is probably an instance of something like that happening. I think I heard something like that happen recently. So here we are pushing out to the influence of Minmus. And this is going to be the fun part. Let's get this going and talk a little bit more about space debris. Now, we have a ton of space debris around Kerbal now, and a lot of them are tanks, right? And I started talking about Kerbal attachment system. And Kerbal attachment system gives your astronauts the capabilities of putting things together in space. It's kind of one of the most amazing mods that you can get. So you can actually look at some floating engines and tanks and say, hey, I could use these. And you can actually turn them into space stations. It is a pain in the butt. It will take Delta V to get to them and Delta V to move them to where you need them. But that Delta V is probably cheaper than the cost of building new ones. Now, in real life, maybe that wouldn't be so good, but in Kerbal Space Program it is. The other thing that you could do is make little tiny probe tugs that cost you nothing, that used a grappling hook and grab onto these things and just deorbit them and let them burn up and get destroyed in the atmosphere, just to clear way for other things. And still, a third way to manage your debris, or a last way, is you just go into the Space Center, go into the tracking station, click on the debris and delete it. That is kind of cheating for some people. But if you get a ton of debris and you don't feel like you're the type that wants to go and send missions up just to capture these things and pull them back down to the ground, that will work for you. And nobody should tell you how to play the game. The game is supposed to be fun for everybody. So we're blasting off to Minmus. Let's speed this up by 4 times, okay? So here we are, pushing our way out towards Minmus, and we're going to get our burn going here, and then we're going to switch focus view over to it, and we're going to set up its orbital insertion burn. All right, that's not bad. We've seen this happen before. We've done this many times. It's easy and shouldn't be that hard of something for you to do. So we're going to keep it out that far because do you see that capsule that's going round and round over there? That's a Kerbal. And that poor Kerbal is just stuck there. So we have to send this ship to rescue them. So the first part of this mission is going to be a rescue. It's going to be a rendezvous and an EVA from one ship to the other. Here's one of those times where I said that I'm always OCD about opening my panels, and I didn't. Thankfully, in the service bay, I have quite a number of batteries and we didn't burn through them. That could have been very bad. So you see our orbit, you see their orbit. We have to match their orbit, which is going to be pulling one of these things down to try to figure out how to get there. So let's set up the maneuvering node. Let's get to it and let's do this. Now, we could have waited for them to go around and around and around and eventually found something that actually matched up. If we were to set up here, we'd be able to set our maneuvering node up so we could have intercepted them right at that red dot. But I didn't do that. I kind of messed this one up. But that would have been an optimum thing. We're going slow, they're going fast, and it would have happened really quick, and we could have burnt for us to meet them right on this side of the planet, and then we're close. We could have burnt retrograde to match velocities with them, and we would have been perfect. It's not exactly what went on in my life. I didn't even think about that when I was doing this. I was just like, all right, let's get this mission done because I really want to get to the big pieces and start building big things like a new station. So I kind of rushed this one. All right, so this mission was actually a fun mission. It was not in any way, shape, or form a boring one. And it essentially went like this. We launch a rocket. We get captured by Minmus at some point. We go and we rendezvous with our wonderful missing Kerbal, and you see us. This is a bad intercept trajectory. We have to move into their trajectory. So we have to move our orbit to theirs. That's essentially what I'm going to do here. See, we're really fast on one side and really slow on the other. So we have an elliptical orbit here. We really need to circularize it and make it so it works. And let's move ahead and see how that happens. Now, while I was filming this, I got a call from my son to come pick him up from football practice, and I left the game running and just left it running here. And pretty much sat here for a long time looking at different things. And occasionally I saw the thing just floating around and around and around, but I had no interaction with it for quite some time, as you can see. So when we finally get home, let's move to the piece that matters, okay? So I got home, saw it running, paused it, made lunch, and then came back, okay? So here we are. We're very close to our wreckage of I don't know who that is. We'll get her name when she's inside of the ship. I still don't know if she's a scientist, an engineer, or a pilot. We'll find out later after she's in our astronaut center. So we're getting closer and closer to her, and what we're doing is we're just going to spin around, and we're going to slow the ship down. We're going to match the velocities, and then just keep on trying to get closer and closer to her so we can bring over her to our crew. And she will join our astronaut crew, actually. She will become part of the KSP, part of the Kerbal Space Program, and we can use her on missions subsequently after this. So we are now matching velocities with the target. This is the hard part. Now we're going to switch over to her just to see how she's doing. and we're going to switch back. So that's where she is. And she's in there, and she's going to take a 200 meter, 0.2 kilometer spacewalk. This is not going to be easy. Come on, girl, you can do it. So she floats her way from this ship over to our ship and joins the Kerbal Space Program. And this has earned us one of the missions, which was to save her. And whenever you see a mission that says save this person in orbit, it's actually a free Kerbin, and usually they have pretty good stats. I can't say that I've ever had one that had more stupidity than courage. But they're fun missions, and they're pretty simple and routine. Once you got the rendezvous, rendezvousing with other ships down, it should be pretty simple for you. Well, I keep saying so there's probably something else on my mind. It isn't simple in the beginning. It is simple after you do them a lot. Now, I'm not telling you that you need to do these over and over again. What I'm telling you is that it would benefit you if you do them over and over again. So many times, rendezvousing and docking, like I said in the last episode, are going to come into play. And it's very important that you know how to do them, because if you don't, you're really going to screw the pooch on a lot of missions. If you don't know what screw the pooch is, watch or read the right stuff. It's more or less written in Screwing the Pooch. And perfect example of that one was Grissom, when he landed and blew the hatch and almost died, and they lost that capsule. That was a moment where I think he was exonerated eventually, and it wasn't, it was found not to be his fault. It actually did jettison by itself. But that mission, they kept on saying he screwed the pooch. He failed it. He screwed it up, not somebody else. So again, these were the ones that you could box, the solar panels on the corner, because I'm screwing up this EVA. It would have been cool to actually tuck them away, being that I probably don't have an engineer on here, but I'm able to get over and grab it and get in. So welcome to the crew. Let's see what her name is. And Katema Kerbin has joined our little Kerbal Space Program. It still has few people. We made 22K from that. That was not a bad mission for 22K. But that's not why we're here. We're really here to land on Minmus. And that's going to be what the whole next episode is going to be about. Landing on Minmus, getting a ton of data, repositioning ourselves, landing in a different place, and taking off and coming back. So this will be the last video of this particular day of playing Kerbal Space Program. Yeah, it was long. It was actually over 2 days. It was last Monday and Tuesday, which were the 1st and 2nd, I believe. Yeah, the 1st and 2nd of June. So it's already the 9th of June, and here I am talking about them. This was a boatload of fun, I have to say. I had an amazing time playing this game last week, and can't wait to start doing some more missions for y'all, and that will be what I try to get done this week, and we'll put them up for you next week. With that said, until the next episode, you all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.